We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India slams China for renaming places in Arunachal Pradesh, says assigning invented names will not alter the reality. Arunachal Pradesh is and will remain integral part of India. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to address the Army Commanders Conference in New Delhi to deliberate upon the emerging threat scenario, operational challenges and reforms. Iran, Syria and Russia condemn Israeli attack on Iranian consulate. White House says President Biden is aware of the reports. Japan lodges protest over suspected North Korea ballistic missile launch into the Sea of Japan. South Korean military says launch appears to be an intermediate range missile. News in detail. Now, India has slammed China for renaming places in Arunachal Pradesh. External Affairs Ministry in a statement said, and I quote, China has persisted with its senseless attempts to rename places in the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh. We firmly reject such attempts. Assigning invented names will not alter the reality that Arunachal Pradesh is, has been and will always be an integral and inalienable part of India. In a significant boost to its defence capabilities, Guyana recently received two Dornier 228 planes from India's Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Informing about the same, Guyanese President Dr. Irfan Ali said, and I quote him, the planes arrived at Chedi Jagan International Airport last evening aboard two Boeing C-17 Globemaster military transport planes, unquote. Indian Air Force team in Guyana delivered the aircrafts as part of India's line of credit agreement signed on March 15th. The Dornier 228 aircraft is well known for its versatility and reliability, making it an ideal choice for a wide range of military and civilian applications. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is attending the Army Commanders Conference in New Delhi on Tuesday. The apex leadership of the Army is deliberating upon the emerging threat scenario, operational challenges, reforms and plans for modernization. One of the key items on the agenda are cyber security, integration with other services and futuristic warfare technologies. The Army Commanders Conference, the first for the year 2024, was held in virtual mode on March 28th. Thereafter, the two-day physical mode began on Monday. And let's now get you the latest on world's largest democratic election in India. Campaigning for India's parliamentary elections heats up. Leaders of all political parties have begun their campaign. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address public meetings in Uttarakhand and Rajasthan on Tuesday. PM Modi will speak at public gatherings in Uttarakhand's Rudrapur and Kotputli in Rajasthan. India's Home Minister and BJP senior leader Amit Shah begins Grand Star campaign of the party in Karnataka starting Tuesday. He will address a public rally at Bengaluru Palace Ground and later a roadshow at Chennapatna. This has seen a big reach out by Amit Shah to make inroads in Old Mysore region. The BJP has entered into an alliance with JDS and hopes to cash on the Vokalika community-dominated Mysore region, where the JDS had its dominance a few years ago. Now, the Congress on Monday released a list of candidates for Maharashtra and Telangana for upcoming parliament elections. Congress has fielded Abhay Kashinath Patil from Akola, Maharashtra, and Kadyam Kavya is set to contest from Warangal, Telangana. And Congress will release its manifesto for the upcoming parliamentary polls on April 5th. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, along with other Congress leaders, including Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, will unveil the manifesto in the mega rally scheduled on April 6th in Jaipur and Hyderabad. Samajwadi Party's candidate from the Gautam Buddha Nagar constituency, Mahendra Singh Nagar, on Monday filed his nomination papers. He asserted that along with the support of the India Alliance, his party will defeat BJP in the upcoming parliamentary elections.
अगर थोड़ी बहुत को टक्कर है तो भाजपा है, लेकिन भाजपा को जैसा हम घूम रहे हैं तो हमें बड़ा जन समर्थन मिल रहा है। हम आने वाले 4 तारीख को जो रिजल्ट आएंगे आपको पता चलेगा कि सपा और पीडीए गठबंधन, इंडिया गठबंधन का जो कैंडिडेट है उससे काफी मार्जिन से जीत।
Now, as the date nears for upcoming parliamentary elections in India, different programs are being held to increase voters' participation in election. On Monday, a bike rally and street play was organized by Raipur District Collector in Indian state of Chhattisgarh to create awareness regarding voting ahead of the upcoming parliamentary elections. Through bike rally, voters were appealed to vote parliamentary elections, which will begin on April 19 and will be held in 7 phases. The rally aimed at educating citizens, electors and voters about the electoral process in order to increase their awareness and promote their informed participation. The participants also took an oath to vote in the elections. Now let's take a look at other stories making news. Enforcement Directorate will submit a report on Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's arrest in the liquor policy case to Delhi High Court on Tuesday. Earlier, Kejriwal has challenged his arrest and remand of ED. A Delhi court on Monday sent Kejriwal to the Tihar jail till April 15th. Meanwhile, bail plea of former Delhi Deputy CM Manish Sisodia is going to be heard today in Delhi's Rouse Avenue Court. At least 4 Naxalites were killed in a clash between police forces and Naxalites in central state of Chhattisgarh. Several automatic weapons were also seized from the encounter site. Search operations are still underway in the area. India's Ministry of Civil Aviation has sought a detailed report from Vistara regarding flight cancellations and major delays, with the airline having cancelled or delayed over 100 flights in the past week. The Aviation Ministry has been flooded with complaints regarding Vistara flight cancellations and delays across the country. Indian Yoga Guru Ramdev and his aide Balakrishna today appeared in the Supreme Court over Patanjali Ayurved's misleading advertisements. The Supreme Court came down heavily on Swami Ramdev and Balakrishna for failing to obey its directives. An apology was also submitted to the court by them. On to some international updates. North Korea fired a ballistic missile off the east coast in a move that sparked immediate condemnation from the Prime Minister of Japan. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said that it detected the launch of what appeared to be a ballistic missile of an intermediate range class from the area of the North Korean capital Pyongyang. Japan's Coast Guard said the parent missile had already fallen into the sea. Amid concerns, Russia and North Korea are developing closer military links. The United States and its major Asian allies, South Korea and Japan, are expanding security cooperation. The United States government is arranging a summit between President Joe Biden and his Japanese and South Korean counterparts in July on the sidelines of the NATO summit in Washington. This is the 3rd test of ballistic missiles from Kim Jong-un's regime this year. On March 18, North Korea fired at least 6 short-range ballistic missiles as the leader oversaw tests of multiple rocket launcher systems. South Korea on Tuesday imposed sanctions on 2 Russian individuals and their companies linked to North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. The ministry said the country will also slap sanctions on 2 Russian vessels involved in shipping containers of military supplies between Moscow and Pyongyang. According to the ministry, companies were involved in illegally assisting North Korean workers' entry and stay in Russia. The sanctions will take effect on Wednesday. Now, Japan has lodged protests over suspected North Korea ballistic missile launch into the Sea of Japan. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida condemned North Korea for the launch that he said affected the peace and stability of the region. He added there was no confirmed damage due to the missile. Japan's top government spokesman added that the government had lodged a protest against with North Korea via diplomatic channels in Beijing.
This morning, North Korea launched a ballistic missile. I gave instruction to confirm the safety of public and to share information with public. At the moment, there is no confirmed damage. We strongly disapprove of this act because it has implication to not just the security of our nation, but of the region and the international community.
Now in Pakistan, polling for the Senate is underway to fill a total of 30 seats out of 48 seats. Election Commission of Pakistan has already notified 18 candidates as elected unopposed in Balochistan and Punjab. Polling is being held for the rest of the 30 seats today. The opposition Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf hopes to maintain his status as the largest party in the Senate, while parties in the ruling coalition, namely the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz and Pakistan People's Party, seek majority too. The Senate has remained dysfunctional since March 11 following the retirement of 52 lawmakers. Now, a Pakistani court on Monday granted former Prime Minister Imran Khan an appeal of his graft conviction and suspended his 14-year jail sentence. Just a week before the February 8 elections, Imran Khan and his wife were handed a 14-year sentence on charges of unlawfully selling state gifts. Despite the suspension, Khan will remain in jail on multiple other sentences which were imposed on him ahead of the polls, which also disqualified him from holding any public office for 10 years. Suspected Israeli warplanes bombed Iran's embassy in Syria on Monday in an escalation of Israel's war against Iran's regional proxies. Iran said that the attack killed 7 of its military advisors, including 3 senior commanders. Iran's ambassador to Syria said the strike hit a consular building in the embassy compound and that his residence was on the top 2 floors. While Iranian media reported that a building close to the embassy had been hit, however, an Israeli military spokesperson said, and I quote, "We do not comment on reports in the foreign media." Now, White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre said that US President Joe Biden is aware of reports of Israeli airstrikes in Damascus. Take a listen.
So, look, I'm aware of the reports. Our team is looking into it, so I'm not going to get ahead of anything just yet. But obviously, we're aware of the reports, and our team is looking into it. I'm just not going to go beyond that.
Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. South Korea's Yoon urges doctors to end impasse, says government is open to talks with the doctors. Temporary alternative route opened for ships as efforts underway to remove debris of collapsed bridge in the US city of Baltimore. And 5 people found dead in Haitian capital after reports of heavy gunfire in the streets approaching the National Palace.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. The United States and Israel on Monday held what the White House calls a high-priority virtual meeting to discuss the alternatives to a military invasion of the Gazan city of Rafah. Israeli forces have for weeks been planning to push into the southern tip of the besieged strip, where more than 1 million displaced Palestinians are gathered, but the US is suggesting a delay. DD India's Benji Hire reports.
This was a hastily rearranged meeting, initially cancelled by the Israelis after the US abstained from a United Nations Security Council resolution which called for a ceasefire in Gaza. The Biden administration said an operation in Rafah would exacerbate the humanitarian disaster in the war-torn Palestinian territory, where famine, the UN warns, is imminent. The president's urging Israel to pause its plans to first stabilise the humanitarian situation and secure Egypt's side of the border with Gaza. Israel insists its offensive must continue south in order to eliminate the threat posed by the terror group Hamas. That's a position that puts the Israeli government on a collision course with its greatest Western ally here. Despite its fears over a Rafah incursion and the growing death toll in Gaza, the White House last week authorised the transfer of billions of dollars in bombs and fighter jets to Israel. A second meeting with the US, this time in person, is scheduled to take place as soon as next week. Benji Haya in Washington, reporting for DD India.
Further, a joint statement was issued after the virtual meeting, according to which the Israeli officials agreed on Monday to take US concerns about a planned offensive in Rafah into account and deliberating on alternative ways to root out Hamas from southern Gaza. US officials concerned about a deepening humanitarian crisis in Gaza have urged Israel to take a more targeted approach to attacking Hamas without launching a major ground offensive. The joint statement said the two sides had a constructive engagement on Rafah and agreed they shared the objective of seeing Hamas defeated there. On to Russia-Ukraine conflict, where both sides claim to have downed each other's drones over the Black Sea on Monday. Russia's defense ministry said its air defense units intercepted 6 Ukrainian drones attempting to carry out a terrorist attack. On its part, Ukraine said its forces downed a Russian four-post drone, which he described as one of the most sophisticated and costly in Moscow's arsenal. Both sides are apparently devoting increasing attention to developing and urging unmanned aircraft in the more than 2-year-old conflict. Now, Moscow's court has put the 10th suspect in the March 22nd deadly concert hall attack into custody until May 22nd pending trial. The court said that Yusuf Zoda Yakubzhoni Davlat Khan, a native of Tajikistan, had been charged under Russia's terrorist act. Earlier on Sunday, Russia's State Security Service said foreign fighters detained in Russia's southern region of Dagestan were involved in financing of the attack. The FSB also said that one of the 4 detained men had confessed to personally bringing weapons to the Moscow attackers. At least 144 people were killed in the March 22nd attack. Islamic State has claimed responsibility, but Russia is investigating other angles. Now, the French government has raised its terror alert warning to its highest level following the shootings on Moscow concert hall. The decision was taken in light of the Islamic State's claiming responsibility for the Moscow attack and the threats weighing on our country, unquote. The alert allows for exceptional security measures such as stepped-up patrols by armed forces in public places like train stations, airports and religious sites. The development comes months before Paris hosts the Olympic Games. Now, several US states are holding presidential primaries Tuesday, with President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump expected to win across the board. Voters will head to the polls in states of Wisconsin, Connecticut, New York and Rhode Island. But some residents are planning on using the vote as an opportunity to protest against the leading candidates. DD India's Sally Patterson reports from New York.
US President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are the favourites in their respective primaries. Neither candidate faces a strong challenge, and they've both already secured more delegates than they need to win their party's nominations. That process will happen at their conventions in July and August. That's when the Biden-Trump rematch becomes official. But that doesn't mean it's all smooth sailing. Voters can decide to register a protest vote against Biden or Trump if they're not happy with the options. In Connecticut and Rhode Island, residents will have the option of voting uncommitted. In Wisconsin, voters can choose uninstructed delegation on their ballot. Wisconsin is a pivotal battleground state in the US, and some voters there are organising over the war in Gaza. A group of activists are aiming to show they're unhappy with Biden's ongoing support for Israel by refusing to vote for him on the ballot. But analysts warn caution in putting too much significance on Gaza when it comes to the US electorate. According to Gallup Research Group, the number of voters who list it as the nation's most important problem is under 1%. The leading key issue for voters include the economy, immigration and crime. Sally Patterson in New York, reporting for DD India.
The United States and Britain announced a new partnership on artificial intelligence safety on Monday. The agreement comes amid growing concerns about upcoming next-generation versions of AI. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo and British Technology Secretary Michelle Donnellan signed a memorandum of understanding in Washington to jointly develop advanced AI model testing. Britain and the United States are among countries establishing government-led AI safety institutes. Now, the U.S. authorities working on the Baltimore bridge collapse have opened the first of two small temporary channels to let ships access the site of the incident. These channels will initially only be open to vessels involved in the Francis Scott Key Bridge cleanup operation and will not be big enough to allow cargo and container ships to pass through. This effort marks the first step in reopening the port of Baltimore following the collapse of the bridge early that killed 6 road workers. The Biden administration released $60 million in initial emergency aid on Thursday to assist in cleaning up the bridge debris and reopening the port. Now, in the Haitian capital Port-au-Prince, 5 people were found dead on Monday after reports of heavy gunfire in the streets approaching the National Palace. Gunmen seized an armored vehicle from palace guards in the center of the city. A large industrial park had been set on fire 3 days before. The new U.S. ambassador to Haiti, Dennis Hankins, arrived in the country on Monday as the United States and other nations continue evacuating their citizens and bolstering their borders against the migrants. Haiti has been facing a worsening conflict with alliances of gangs vying for control of parts of the capital and attacks on the airport and main port blocking access to key goods. Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Peru's president replaced 6 ministers on Monday after they abruptly resigned amid a fresh political controversy. President Dina Boluarte replaced roughly a third of a 19-person cabinet in a single day. This comes amid scandal involving high-end Rolex watches that targets her and alleges illicit enrichment by Boluarte. The resignation aims to win a vote of support from Congress. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol said that the government is open to talks with doctors who oppose his plan to increase medical school admissions. Yoon signaled his willingness for the first time to seek a compromise on his medical reform proposals after the government called for dialogue with striking doctors. All right, sports now. We'll start with chess. Arjun Erigasi replaced 5-time world champion Vishwanathan Anand as the highest ranked Indian in the official FIDE rating list on Monday. Arjun is currently placed 7th in the world rankings with a live rating of 2758.3. The 20-year-old leapfrogged Anand in the live rating list in March. Arjun became only the second Indian after D. Gukesh to surpass Anand as the India #1 on a published FIDE rating list. He is also the 4th Indian after Anand, Pentala Harikrishna and Gukesh to enter the top 10 in the world rankings. Cricket now. IPL, Royal Challengers Bengaluru will take on Lucknow Super Giants at the Grand Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru. RCB is set to play their 4th game of the IPL 2024 season. After losing the opening game against defending champion Chennai, RCB bounced back with a win in their 2nd game against Punjab Kings by 4 wickets. RCB, however, handed an absolute demoralizing defeat by KKR in the 3rd game. LSG, on the other hand, kicked off their campaign with a loss as they fell short of Rajasthan Royals' total by 20 runs. They put in a spirited performance against PBKS in their first home game to register a 21-run victory. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.